They had sailed away in warm September. Now it was cold November. They had been on the Mayflower for 2 months and 3 days. The next day they saw land. They were very happy, but they were scared too. What kind of land was this? There were no houses, no stores, no people to meet them. Only an empty white sandy beach with trees and bushes behind it. Oh, but it was good to be on land again. The Pilgrim children ran up and down the beach, feeling the sand and the land beneath their feet. Winter. Winter was coming. The Pilgrims had to find a safe place for all of them to live. Every day a group of pilgrims searched the wild countryside. At last they came to a place with running brooks and rivers, and good land for planting it. It was a good place to build their town. They named it Plymouth. They wanted a street to go from the shore to the top of the hill. They wanted a fort on the top of the hill. They wanted houses on both sides of the street. They would have to make everything themselves. It would take a long, long time to finish building Plymouth. In the meantime, they would have to sleep on the Mayflower. The first winter in Plymouth was terrible for the Pilgrims. They could not finish building their homes before the snow fell. They could not find enough food in the forests. The Pilgrims worked as hard as they could, but they were hungry and cold and weak. The winter, many of the Pilgrims got sick. Many of the Pilgrims died. Spring. At last the snows began to melt. Spring was coming. There was so much work to be done. The Pilgrims worked every day but Sunday. Sunday was the time to think about God. They prayed and sang and listened to long sermons. Every day but Sunday, the Pilgrims worked very hard. They worked making houses. They made their houses from bark and branches. They made the roofs from straw and vines. Each house had only one room and a small space upstairs. The house got cold when the wind blew in through the holes in the wall. The house got wet when the rain dripped down through the holes in the roof. The only heat came from the fire in the fireplace. Sometimes sparks flew up the chimney and set the straw roof on fire. Then everybody ran outside to put the fire out. The Pilgrims worked making furniture for the houses. They didn't make much, just some stools and benches and beds. To save space, the children's beds were pushed under the big bed during the day. People used the benches for tables or put their plates on their knees. There were no glasses, so the Pilgrims drank out of mugs made of leather or wood. Their plates and bowls were wooden too. There were no forks. The Pilgrims used shells for spoons. The only iron things in the house were the iron pots and pans. One big iron pot was used for boiling the stew, or making the candles, or making the soap. The Pilgrims worked planting their gardens. Each family planted a small garden with seeds brought over on the Mayflower.